again, and welcome to Runaway with Liz. I am Liz, and today I thought we could just have a little more of a candid chat about my upcoming training cycle for the Sioux Falls Marathon. We'll call this video week 0 because the training plan hasn't actually started yet. It's going to be starting towards the end of April, but I just wanted to talk today about my training cycle and what to expect and why I chose the Sioux Falls Marathon. I've never really considered the Sioux Falls Marathon before. Sioux Falls isn't really a place that I think about when I think about traveling for a race or traveling to in general, and that's probably because I grew up around the area of Sioux Falls, and so my association with Sioux Falls isn't traveling, it's things like going back to school shopping or hospital visits, because there's actually 2 major hospitals in Sioux Falls. I think I got my wisdom teeth removed in Sioux Falls. I also think about the mayor saying this
is cowboy country, man.
I don't know what he's talking about, because the Sioux Falls area is mostly farmers and healthcare workers. And I think most of the time when people are visiting Sioux Falls, they're not really there specifically for Sioux Falls. It's usually for another reason, like maybe they're there for a conference, or maybe they're stopping through on their way to the Black Hills and the Badlands. And this doesn't mean that Sioux Falls isn't a fun place to go. I think a lot of people think of Minneapolis like that as well. I don't think most people are making special trips just to see Minneapolis, but we are going to be going to Sioux Falls for the Sioux Falls Marathon. And the reason that I chose the Sioux Falls Marathon is actually because of the time of year. When I was creating my race calendar this year, I wanted to prioritize our trips, and I didn't want to be training for or racing around the time that we were going to be traveling. And the Sioux Falls Marathon lands in late August, which just worked out really nice timing wise. It's also a pretty convenient race to get to. I can just drive there. We have relatives in Sioux Falls that we can hang out with. The race itself seems pretty nice. A lot of the race reviews call it things like surprisingly scenic, like we really didn't expect much of Sioux Falls, but oh, actually it's quite pleasant. It's a loop course, so it starts and ends in the same place, and the hotel, the race hotel, is really close to that area, so it's going to be nice to just be able to get up and walk to the course. That will be really convenient. The elevation of the course is relatively flat compared to what I have been doing, and because Sioux Falls isn't a destination that I am going to be doing a lot of sightseeing at, I thought this would maybe be a fun opportunity to maybe race it and just see what I can do speed-wise. Another reason that I wanted to go to Sioux Falls for the marathon, and this isn't something that I have to do during marathon weekend, but it's just something that I would like to prioritize, is there's a tiki bar in Sioux Falls that I would like to visit. I have been kind of into tiki. If you are aware of tiki, you might have noticed that my channel branding is loosely mid-century tiki inspired, and the tiki bar in Sioux Falls is called the Hello Hi, and it seems to be a pretty fun one. So hopefully it works out to take you to the Hello Hi tiki bar. It looks pretty fun. Just looking at the website, they've got this video of this green monster, and it's just like touching this octopus leg in a very sensual way, and I'm very interested to know if there is any lore at the Hello Hi. All right, so now that we have discussed a little bit about why I chose the Sioux Falls Marathon for my target race this year, I want to talk about my training for a little bit, if that's something that interests you. Before we do that, if you are enjoying this video, or if you are looking forward to more videos, feel free to give this video a like and subscribe. Thank you very much. So I ran my 50-mile race in December, and after taking about a month off since January, I have been very, very slowly rebuilding my base. I signed up for a couple of races at the end of March and beginning of April, just 10-mile races as a carrot for me to reach that 10-mile distance and feel comfortable running that 10-mile distance.
All right, do it.
I want to thank my mom, my dad, my amazing husband, and of course, God. Thank you, God. God bless us all. I couldn't have done this without you, God. And my dog, Jeffrey. Sweet Channing, my cat. You guys have always been so supportive and there for me, and I just can't thank you enough. And of course, God. The training plans that I'm using for this marathon start at 10 or 12 miles, and so one of the prerequisites was that I should be able to whip out a 10-mile run and be able to continue on with my day, business as usual. I am using actually 2 different training plans, and I've kind of created a mashup with them. So the first one that I'm using is the Marathon Own It plan from the book Train Like a Mother with Sarah Bowen-Shea and Dimity McDowell. And they're not the ones that wrote the plan. I can't remember what the coach is that actually wrote the plans for this book, but the Marathon Own It plan is quite aggressive. It starts out with a 12-mile long run, and there are like 3 20-mile runs, and as soon as week 6, you're up to 18 miles for a long run. So it ramps up pretty quickly, and it just kind of stays there and just gets you really comfortable running really long miles. And I like that. I like doing long runs like that. And I am combining this with another training plan because I am playing with the idea of running an ultra at the beginning of next year, 2024. And so I do need to start training for that now, actually. It's a very long training cycle, but I think these really long runs in the Own It plan make it pretty compatible with an ultra training plan, because all I really have to do is add another long run to create a back-to-back long run, and then I'll be tapering before the marathon. And so the other book I'm using to create this kind of Frankenstein training plan is Running Your First Ultra by Krissy Moehl. I think I'm pronouncing her last name right. Krissy Moehl is an ultra runner, and she has actually won the Tour du Mont Blanc twice. I think it's 2003 and maybe 2009, something like that. And I've used this book a few times, and so I'm pretty comfortable adapting it. I've used her 50K training plan and the 50-mile training plan, and I do reduce the mileage a little bit because I did find the first time I used her 50K training plan that there are a shit ton of miles in it, and it's too much for me. All I really do is reduce the mileage a little bit on the weekly miles of these training plans, and I keep the long runs as they are. But I know how my body reacts to her training plans, and so I feel comfortable adapting it. So I'm using the beginning of one of her ultra training plans and just combining it with this. One thing that this does mean is that even though I am racing the marathon, my performance is not going to be what it would be if I was training specifically for this marathon, and I am very comfortable sacrificing a little bit of my race time for just enjoying my training and for this overarching goal that I am considering. So the marathon is no longer the only race in my sight. Some challenges that I foresee happening possibly for this training plan are I need to be keeping up with my PT for sure. Keeping up with my strength work, these are things that I really have trouble with. I'm always very motivated at the beginning and then it kind of falls off. Life events could get in the way, summers get super busy. Another challenge is that late August has the potential to be pretty hot and humid, and so if it is quite warm, that does mean that I might not meet my goal, which is to create a PR, a personal record, but that is something that is just out of my control. I can't control if it's too hot or too humid. Another challenge, the thing that I am most concerned about, if we're being honest, is I'm not sure when I'm going to be going to the Tiki Bar. The race is on a Sunday and the Tiki Bar doesn't open until 4 p.m. and I'm not going to be going on Saturday night, the night before, because I don't really think a rum cocktail is a great idea before a race. It depends on what your goals are though. It might be a great idea for you, but for me, for that particular race, I don't think it's going to be the best idea. And Tony and I were planning to drive back to the cities on Sunday night. So when am I going to go to the Tiki Bar? Do I spend Sunday night in Sioux Falls as well? These are things that I need to think about and strategize. All right, so that does it for week 0 of the Sioux Falls Marathon training cycle, this series. My first week of training is actually going to be at Universal Studios in Florida. That's just how it's timed up. So I'm excited to check out some of the running paths in the Universal Studios or check out the gym. We are staying at the Cabana Bay Resort, and it just looks very pretty and very retro. It's smooth. Just very my vibe right now. If you enjoyed this video, feel free to give it a thumbs up. And if you feel so inclined to subscribe to the channel, thank you so much. Okay, thanks for watching. I hope you're doing well. Take care, everybody. Bye.